Looking for the perfect happy hour to unwind after a long day at work? Look no further than Walter's Indoor-Outdoor Happy Hour, catering to everyone who lives in and around Navy Yard. $5 happy hour options include salmon sliders and house red wine.
If you're a lineman in charge of keeping the lights on, Grainger understands that you go to great lengths, and sometimes heights, to ensure the power is always flowing. Which is why you can count on Grainger for professional-grade products and next-day delivery, so you have everything you need to get the job done. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Here's the 0-1. In the dirt, gets by Millis, and the Angels are going to take the lead. Rengifo dashes in to score. 4-3 Angels. Ferrer spiked the changeup. The go-ahead run crosses on a wild pitch.
Young waits from the right side of the plate. Lyle a short lead off third. Here's the kick and the pitch. Swinging a ground ball, base hit into center field. Here comes Lyle to score. Jacob Young has delivered a huge hit to tie the game here in the ninth inning. A sharp grounder to the shortstop Neto's left. Hit too hard for him to have a chance. And Jacob Young hands Kenley Jansen his first blown save of the year. And this game is all tied here in the ninth inning. It's the Nationals 4, the Angels 4. Now the pitch. Swing by Abrams and a ground ball fair. A base hit down the right field line. That will score Lyle. Here comes Millis. He scores. Abrams around second, speeding for third as it's chased down to the corner by Lamont Wade Jr. And C.J. Abrams with a ground ball down the right field line. A 2-run triple, his third 3-base hit of the year. And the Nats have tallied 3 runs here in the 11th inning. To break this open a little bit, it's now the Nationals 7 and the Angels 4.
And welcome to Nats Chat, along with MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman, who is at Angel Stadium in Anaheim, California. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. As many of you likely know, the Savannah Bananas performed at Nationals Park this past Friday and Saturday. And Game 3 of the Nats 3-game series at the Los Angeles Angels ended up being as entertaining as a Savannah Bananas performance, and in many ways as improbable, as wacky as a Savannah Bananas performance. A 7-4, 11-inning win at the Angels on Sunday to conclude a 4-5 road trip in California and to conclude a 7-19 month of June. The Nats won 2 out of 3 games in this series at the Angels. And this 7-4, 11-inning win on Sunday really was something. We had Nats left fielder James Wood making franchise history by drawing 4 intentional walks. We had Nats shortstop C.J. Abrams with not 1 but 2 big extra base hits. We had Nats manager Davey Martinez getting ejected. We had Nats starting pitcher Mitchell Parker giving up 3 doubles, all to the same player. We had Nats closer Kyle Finnegan tossing 3 scoreless and hitless innings for the win. Yes, 3 scoreless and hitless innings. Hey, Savannah Bananas, can you top that? You can find us on X at Nats_chat. You can find us on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email us natschatpodcast@gmail.com. And we have a website that you can check out, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can purchase a Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt. So the Nats now are 35-49, including, as mentioned, 7-19 in June. Mark, the month of June 2025, as we have discussed, goes down as one of the worst months in Nats history. But man, this win on Sunday was a heck of a win. Really a very nice ending to a very long road trip and a very bad month of June.
Obviously, you can't erase everything that happened before this, both on the trip and over the course of the whole month. But if you're going to have such an awful month and such a frustrating road trip in so many ways, to win the finale the way that they did, I think it does make a difference. It puts a very different spin on everything as you pack up and head all the way home. You know, they haven't been on a plane in 10 days since they first arrived in LA. That's going to be a very happy flight home for them. They earned it. They deserved it. And I'll tell you what, they finished 4-5 on this trip. Certainly not as well as you would like, but I think in a vacuum, 4-5 on a tough West Coast trip, you say that's all right. Well, by the way, 3 of those losses were by 1 run. They were very easily this close away from having a winning record on this trip, or even several games better than that on the trip. And I know we're not into consolation here right now. They've dug themselves into such a hole that you can't really do that kind of thing. But they're playing a lot better, I believe, than they did during that awful 11-game losing streak. And I don't know that July is going to be a good month for the Nationals, but I do think it's going to be a better month for them than what we saw in June.
Certainly would be hard to be worse. And if there is such a thing as momentum, and I think that's a dubious concept, but if there is such a thing of momentum, perhaps the Nats will have some of that off this win on Sunday. This really was an impressive win. This was a win that featured so many young Nats players doing well. And this was a game that featured Nationals history. And I feel like we can't talk about anything with this game until we acknowledge this. James Wood in this game drew 4 intentional walks. He is the Nats starting left fielder and number 2 batter. Went 1 for 2 with a single, 4 intentional walks and a stolen base. He became the first player in Montreal Expos / Washington Nationals history to draw at least 4 intentional walks in a regular season game. First major league player to draw 4 intentional walks in a regular season game since Barry Bonds in 2004. He became the first Nats player to draw at least 3 intentional walks in a regular season game since Bryce Harper in that famous 4-3 13-inning loss at the Chicago Cubs on May 8th, 2016, in a game in which Harper drew an astounding 6 walks, 3 intentional walks, and 3 non-intentional walks. I'm sure many people listening remember that series. That was a 4-game series in which Harper drew 13 walks, and the Cubs bench coach at the time was Davey Martinez. But, you know, here we are now on the doorstep of the 1-year anniversary of the Nats promoting James Wood to the majors. It was on Monday morning, July 1st, 2024, that the Nats officially announced having selected the contract of Wood from AAA Rochester. The amount of respect it takes to draw 4 intentional walks in a game. Look, you covered Bryce Harper. You saw him draw all of those walks in that 2016 series at the Cubs. But for Wood to do this less than a full year into being a major league player says so much about the player he already is.
That's the key to it all. Bryce Harper was in his 5th big league season at that point. By the way, that's the only time I've ever missed a flight home because a game took too long, that went all those extra innings. There was horrible traffic to get to O'Hare. Long story, but I'd missed my flight. The only time that's ever happened to me. Bryce Harper was in his 5th major league season at that point. Barry Bonds in 2004 is way past the point. You know, he's peak roided up Barry Bonds at that stage of his career. For James Wood at age 22 in literally game 163 of his career to command that kind of respect. And yes, I understand some of it has to do with the game situation. Some of it has to do with who's batting behind him. It was Luis Garcia. Then it was Ahmed Rosario after that. And by the way, the Nats went 0 for 4 after the intentional walks, although one of them was the bizarre play of the game that did score a run and probably should have scored 2 runs. But it's such a tremendous display of respect for someone who has earned that already in 163 games in the big leagues. We're probably going to see more of it over time, especially if the Nats can't find somebody to put behind him who, you know, is more of a serious threat. Although sometimes that doesn't even matter, because that game with Harper and the Cubs, the guy behind him was Ryan Zimmerman. And yeah, he was struggling at that time in his career, but that was no slouch hitting behind Bryce Harper that you would do that. Sometimes the player is so good that it doesn't matter who it is behind him. You don't take your chances. You say somebody else has to beat me.
James Wood, unfortunately, not a finalist for the 2025 National League All-Star team. Now, he almost certainly will be a part of that team. He's just not going to be voted on to that team. Part of this, of course, is a lack of national awareness of James Wood. I think 4 intentional walks is going to draw some national awareness. Like, it's such an odd thing. It's such a special thing that, you know, when that goes across the crawl on ESPN and people see that, when that pops up as a headline on MLB.com, perhaps ESPN.com, that's the kind of thing that starts to generate interest and attention, a guy doing something like this. And it's a quirky thing, no doubt. It's a function, like you said, of circumstance. It also is, and you alluded to this, you know, an indictment of what's around James Wood in the Nats lineup right now. But this is the kind of thing that I feel like will put eyeballs on James Wood from a national perspective, because this is so rare, a player drawing 4 intentional walks in a game like this.
So, look, this was not a good road trip for the Nationals as a whole. It was a good road trip for James Wood to start being noticed beyond D.C. and maybe the NL East. Dodger Stadium hit that ball 450 feet or whatever it was. Joe Davis on the call. You heard the Dodgers announcers talking about him. That's a broader, bigger audience learning about James Wood and seeing it in person. San Diego does it to the team that traded him for Juan Soto, getting a lot of attention for that. And now in Anaheim, having a game like this where, let's be clear, he wasn't the reason the Nats won this game at all. They kind of won in spite of that fact. But you will, as you said, get attention for doing something historic, something that nobody had done since Barry Bonds. And so this was actually, I think, a very good road trip for James Wood's Q rating, let's say, across the rest of the baseball world. Hopefully by now, everybody has taken notice and will understand. And maybe a year from now, he'll be getting a lot more all-star votes instead of finishing 9th among the outfielders.
Hey, Al Galdi here for Window Nation. July 4th weekend is around the corner, and for many people, that means that summer vacation is coming up. Will your windows keep your home protected while you're away? Save yourself the headache of coming home to a potential break-in by replacing your windows today with Window Nation windows. Right now, when you buy 4 windows, you get 4 windows free, plus you get a free exterior door when you purchase a house full of windows. And on top of that, you won't have to put any money down, pay any interest, or deal with any monthly payments for 24 months. Call 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. In this economy, what Window Nation is offering right now is a great deal. Your electricity bill is another good indicator of how well your windows are working, especially with summer temperatures here to stay. Lucky for you, Window Nation offers top quality, energy efficient vinyl windows built to withstand the sun's heat and keep your home cool. And did I mention that Window Nation windows come with a lifetime warranty? Don't miss your chance to protect and upgrade your home with Window Nation windows. Buy 4 windows, get 4 windows free now through June 30th. And remember, you won't pay a thing for 24 months. Call 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com. That's 866-90NATION or windownation.com. And tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast.
If you're a lineman in charge of keeping the lights on, Grainger understands that you go to great lengths and sometimes heights to ensure the power is always flowing, which is why you can count on Grainger for professional-grade products and next-day delivery, so you have everything you need to get the job done. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Back so soon? Oh no, what happened?
A little incident at the dog park. We gotta head to the vet.
Oh, not again. These bills.
We can use CashNet USA. We can apply in minutes, get a fast decision, and have the money in the account as soon as the same business day. All right, Cheddar, back in the car.
When you need money fast, be the hero. All loans subject to lender approval. Speed of funding is subject to verifications and your bank's processing times. See CashNetUSA.com for more details.
Oh, 1 on Abrams, does not run. The pitch popped up, shallow left center. Newman battling the sun, using his glove as a shield. He tracks it, he missed it. Young's going to come around third, he's going to score. How about that? Newman battled the sun the whole way, didn't catch the ball. The ball drops into left center, and this game is tied at 3.
So we had James Wood making history in this game, and we had a whole lot of Nats doing a whole lot of good in this game. So the Nats offensively in this 7-4, 11-inning win at the Angels on Sunday, 7 runs, 11 hits, 8 walks, 5 for 17 with runners in scoring position. The 11 hits, a triple, 5 doubles, and 5 singles. We had C.J. Abrams as the Nats starting shortstop and number 1 batter, going 2 for 6 with a 2-run triple and an RBI double. Abrams in a Nats 1-run 7th had a 2-out opposite field RBI double to tie the game at 3. Now, we should put the word double in quotation marks, so because the double came on a fly ball that Angels shortstop Kevin Newman lost in the sun in shallow left center field. Would have multiple doubles in this game of a flukish nature, but a double is a double. Abrams had a double in that spot, and I tell you, credit to Jacob Young, who we're about to get to. He scored all the way from first base on that play, never stopped running. And then Abrams in an Nats 3-run 11th, a 1-out first pitch, 2-run triple down the right field line for a 7-4 Nats lead. As bad as the month of June was for the Nats as a team, the month of June was superb for C.J. Abrams. His slash line for the month of June ends up being a .308 batting average, a .368 on base percentage, and a .505 slugging percentage. And I mentioned Jacob Young. Man, did he have himself a nice road trip, had himself a good series here at the Angels, and he in this game on Sunday as the Nats starting center fielder and number 9 batter, 2 for 4 with a double, a game-tying RBI single, a walk, and a stolen base. I mentioned what he did in scoring all the way from first base on the C.J. Abrams RBI double. Young in the Nats 1-run ninth, a 1-out RBI single into left center field on a 1-2 pitch off Angels closer Kenley Jansen to tie the game at 4. And Young with a steal of second base. C.J. Abrams and Jacob Young, a lot of good stuff in this game.
Absolutely. Great month for Abrams. And again, should be getting a lot of national attention for it. It's going to be an interesting call with as many good shortstops as there are in the National League, but there is a very compelling case for C.J. Abrams to join James Wood in his hometown of Atlanta and make his second consecutive All-Star game. And I'll tell you what, for that stretch there that we thought, here we go again with CJ. He's going through that slump that we saw last year. He fixed it in a hurry, and that's a great sign of development. If that can become the norm, we're all going to slump at some point, but can you limit it, which he did not do last year? For him to come back that quickly and turn it around is a great sign. Jacob Young, when this road trip began, we're talking about, is this guy long for the starting center field job? And once Dylan Cruz comes back, is he going to lose his job? All the credit to him. He has hit so much better. He's played really good defense, I think, for the most part. He's run the bases better after those, pickoffs and oversliding of second base. Very aggressive in this game and probably deserved to score 2 runs because of his aggressive base running. Wasn't credited with one of them because of a really bad call at the plate. I don't know if deep down he's feeling a little pressure and motivated to try to retain his job. Whatever the reason is, he has come through in a big way over the last couple of weeks, and it does all of a sudden raise the question of what happens when Dylan Cruz returns. By the way, Cruz still has not, as far as I can tell, started real baseball activities, like heavy stuff yet, so I don't think we're on the verge of seeing him, so that buys some more time. But good for Jacob Young for kind of deflecting that question now and suggesting that he should remain in the lineup no matter who else becomes healthy again.
This was 2024 Jacob Young. Not that he was some offensive force last season, but we saw him at times really be a catalyst, really be an impact offensive player. And he did that in this series, and he did that for a nice chunk of this road trip. So definitely want to salute him for what he did. Now, you mentioned the run that wasn't for Jacob Young. So Luis Garcia Jr., he and a Nats 1-run fifth grounded into a 1-out bases loaded full count 3-2 double play on which the Nats starting catcher in this game, Drew Millis, scored from third base. But also on the play was Garcia being out at first base and Jacob Young being out at home on a runner's fielder's choice. So Garcia actually got an RBI on the play. But this was an odd looking play. Young came racing toward home shortly after Millis scored as the ball had gotten away from the Angels catcher Logan O'Hoppe. O'Hoppe retrieved the ball and made what was ruled a diving forward tag on the left leg of Jacob Young for the third out, although it certainly appeared via replay that O'Hoppe never actually tagged Jacob Young. Davey Martinez challenged the play. The call on the field stood, and Martinez ended up getting ejected for arguing the call. I don't know if you saw anything different than what we saw on TV, but it looked like O'Hoppe never actually tagged Jacob Young.
I agree. And this is one of the weirder plays I think I've ever seen. Let's start at the beginning of the play, because it maybe didn't have to go the way that it did. Nolan Shawnell, he gets the ball. It's a really sharp grounder to first. And in my mind, he's got basically 3 choices he can make at this point. He can throw to the plate initially, try to get the force out at the plate, prevent the run from scoring, maybe even try for the 3-2-3 double play. He can go to second base and try for the 3-6-3 double play, or even step on the base and throw to second for the 3-6 double play. And he ends up deciding to step on the base and then throw home. I thought that was his least likely opportunity to get the double play without anybody scoring on the play. And it turns out that was true because the first runner scored. So when you watch what happens, Young, seeing the ball got away from the catcher, sprints towards the plate. There's this, both of them kind of diving towards each other near the plate. Young avoids the tag and realizes that he's missed the plate. And because Mark Ripperger, the home plate umpire, did not make an initial call, he stood there waiting to see what happens. That says to me, and I think anybody who's on a baseball field, that says he wasn't tagged and he didn't touch the plate. I'm going to wait to make a call until somebody does something. So Jacob Young astutely dives back, touches the plate, thinks he's safe, and only then did Ripperger call him out and point to his leg to suggest that he'd been tagged. Prior to any of that,
the pitch. Swinging a ground ball, hit right to the first baseman. He'll step on first, throw home, tag play. Not caught by Ohapi. Miller scores. The ball is loose. Here comes Young to the plate. He goes around him, or was he tagged? He's called out. Young signaling in the dugout for them to replay and challenge. We'll see what they do. But Miller scored to give the Nationals the lead as the ball got away, and then eventually Ohapi trying to get the tag on Young, trying to score behind him.
If Ripperger was sure of that, why didn't he call him out initially? Why did he wait to see if Young was going to go back to tag the plate again? That, to me, made no sense. I think that, more than anything, is why Davey Martinez got so upset and got ejected. Now, you can't officially argue a replay review. You're automatically ejected when that happens, and I think Davey knew that. But in his mind, it wasn't so much about the replay, which was questionable in itself, but it was the nature in which Ripperger made the call, the delay on it. And it sure looked like he didn't know what had happened and just decided to make a call and then leave it up to New York to decide for him. And I think that's where the biggest issue comes in on that.
The other interesting thing about the play to me was that initially it was unclear whether Ohapi actually had the ball in his mitt when he went to tag Jacob Young. Ohapi had to make this quick transfer of the ball from his throwing hand to the glove. Obviously, you can't tag a player without having the ball in your glove and get the out. The ball has to be in the glove. And there was some question initially whether the ball was in the glove. It looked like the ball was in the glove. But like we said, it does not appear as if Ohapi ever actually tagged Jacob Young. There was another thing with the Nats offense in this game I wanted to note, and that is Brady House. He is the Nats starting third baseman and number 6 batter, 1 for 5 with an RBI double. Good to see that. House is starting to get some results here. And defensively, Brady House looks good, man. He made a standout defensive play in this game. House in the bottom of the 7th, a great diving backhanded catch on a leadoff first pitch ground out by Zach Neto. The grounder had an exit velocity of 99.2 miles per hour per StatCast. Brady House is listed as being 6'4". The athleticism that this guy possesses, I tell you, I watch him, you can't help but think Ryan Zimmerman when you watch him. He's a big guy, athletic guy. He is playing that position of third base in an impressive fashion, and good to see the offense starting to come around in terms of the results that he's getting.
You stole the words out of my mouth, Al. I was about to say that was a Zimmerman-esque play. Classic Ryan Zimmerman. Not just the dive, the reaction time, but the way he just kind of got up and very calmly whipped it across the diamond to him. Also reminiscent of a guy who I don't think was in the building this weekend, and probably a lot of people in Anaheim wish he was, Anthony Rendon. Certainly can't make that kind of play anymore, but we know that in his peak in D.C., he could make that play as well. I've been very impressed with Brady House's defense. And let's remember, this is a converted shortstop who's only a few years into really learning third base. He looks so comfortable over there at the plate. There's been just enough to keep you intrigued and say, okay, he looks like he can be all right. He hasn't really hit for any power yet. I know he's had some doubles, but they're kind of line drives or ground balls down the lines. I'm still waiting to see him really connect on a ball, but I think now, 2 weeks into his career, I've certainly seen enough to know that I want to see more and to feel like he is not overwhelmed and that he should stay up here, without risk of being sent back down.
LinkedIn Jobs is here to help small business owners with that crucial step of making the right hires. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get qualified candidates you can manage all in one place. Here's how it works. Simply post your job, and LinkedIn's new feature can help you write job descriptions and then quickly get your job in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. You can either post your job for free or pay to promote it, and promoted jobs get 3 times more qualified candidates. Find out why more than 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring today. Find your next great hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/natschat. That's linkedin.com/natschat to post your job for free. LinkedIn.com/natschat. Terms and conditions apply.
If you're a lineman in charge of keeping the lights on, Grainger understands that you go to great lengths and sometimes heights to ensure the power is always flowing, which is why you can count on Grainger for professional-grade products and next-day delivery, so you have everything you need to get the job done. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Finnegan coming set with Adele off second. No balls, 2 strikes. The kick, and here it comes. Breaking ball hit on the ground towards short. Abrams fields cleanly. He plants and throws on to low. And this road trip is over with a curly W in the books. A 3-inning performance for Kyle Finnegan to get his first win of the year. A curly W in the books. Here in 11 innings, the final score, the Washington Nationals 7, the Los Angeles Angels 4.
So the Nats offense came through in this game, and then there was the Nats pitching in this win at the Angels on Sunday. So the Nats starting pitcher in this game was Mitchell Parker. He was coming off some good outings in recent days. He in this game officially allowed 3 runs in 5 innings, gave up 6 hits, which were 3 doubles and 3 singles. All 3 of the doubles were by Taylor Ward. Parker issued 3 walks. He recorded 3 strikeouts. He threw 76 pitches, 48 strikes, 28 balls. And the Nats bullpen in this game ended up being really good. The Nats bullpen imploded in the loss at the Angels late night on Saturday night. But remember, the Nats bullpen was actually quite good in the win at the Angels late night on Friday night. So in 2 of the 3 games in this series, the 2 wins, the Nats bullpen came through. 3 Nats relievers combined to allow 1 run in 6 innings. Cole Henry officially tossed a scoreless inning. He came into the game bottom of the 6th, runners on first and second, no outs, game tied at 2. Induced a 5-4-3 double play off the bat of Travis d'Arnaud, but Henry did then give up a 2-out RBI single by Christian Moore to left center field for a 3-2 Angels lead. Jose A. Ferrer, he allowed 1 run in 2 innings. Bottom of the 7th, allowed a run, gave up a 1-out first pitch opposite field triple by Luis Rengifo to the right field corner. And right fielder Dalen Lyle initially whiffed on scooping the ball with his glove, and Ferrer then issued a 2-out run-scoring wild pitch for a 4-3 Angels lead. And then we had Kyle Finnegan with one of the best relief performances by any Nats reliever, certainly since we started doing this podcast. I mean, this is super rare. A 3-inning outing for the Nats closer, 3 scoreless and hitless innings. And he did this on 30 pitches. That was it. 30 pitches, 20 strikes versus 10 balls. Finnegan tossed a scoreless and hitless bottom of the 9th to preserve a 4-all tie despite issuing a leadoff 5-pitch walk of Christian Moore. The inning ended via catcher Drew Millis throwing out Zach Neto on an attempted steal of second base as shortstop C.J. Abrams did a good job of keeping the tag on Neto. Neto came off the bag. Man, does it feel like we're seeing so much of that these days. Finnegan then tossed a scoreless and hitless bottom of the 10th despite issuing a 1-out intentional walk of Nolan Shanuel, and Finnegan tossed a perfect bottom of the 11th. I feel like heroic is a word that probably gets used too much, but if there's such a thing as a heroic relief performance, Kyle Finnegan delivered that in this game. We have seen so little of him lately. He got put to work in this game on Sunday, and boy, did he come through.
I'll tell you what, Al, how many times in the last week have we lamented the fact that Kyle Finnegan was not pitching? And we understood why he wasn't, what the situations were, but we kept saying, maybe there's a way to get him in there. Use him in an unconventional manner. Sometime, before waiting until the 9th inning. Go, fire that bullet earlier in the game. I'll tell you what, if he had pitched any more this week, I don't think he could have done what he did on Sunday. And I'm not excusing the actions that led up to all this, but the universe did present itself perfectly for him and for the team at long last today on the 9th game of a road trip in which he had only faced 2 batters, total of 2 batters faced the entire trip up to this point. So he was obviously well rested, and you knew that if he got through the 9th, he was going to be coming back for the 10th no matter what, and he certainly did that. Got through the 10th pretty quickly. And now comes that question of what are you going to do? He's at 19 pitches. You say, okay, he's fresh. He's ready. He said he was happy to do it. He was ready to do it. He had not thrown 3 innings in any kind of professional game in a decade. He was a starter for single A Stockton Ports of the Oakland Athletics system in 2015, the last time that he pitched 3 innings in a baseball game. And so this was a big moment for him at a time when his team desperately needed it, because you kept thinking, well, once you use up Finnegan, who else is there to try to close the game if you take a lead? Heroic is the word to describe what he did for them in this game. They desperately needed it. They finally got to use their best reliever in a situation of consequence, and he went above and beyond to make sure that they won this game.
I do want to ask you about Dalen Lyle. He has had some defensive issues. He had 3 hits in this game, so give him credit for that. He also has had some base running issues, though. It feels like in every game he gets caught stealing or he gets picked off. He got caught on an attempted steal in this game. What are your impressions of what we're seeing from Dalen Lyle?
A lot of hit or miss. Kind of looks like a young guy who maybe isn't really big league ready yet. Everything that I've always heard about him, he's got tremendous skills and he plays the game hard and an exciting player who can do a lot of things for you. But the moment may be a little too much for him right now. You saw him struggle twice on balls in the corner and right field, not being able to corral it cleanly, and that allowed runners to take extra bases. We've seen now on the stolen base attempts, and we saw it with Jacob Young, of course, in the past, not being able to hold the bag. Although I will say Lyle went feet first, so it wasn't one of those trying to slide in head first and oversliding the bag. He just couldn't hold it with his feet. And at the plate, while there have been some moments, and he did have a key hit in this game, there are also moments that you kind of say, he doesn't quite look ready for this kind of situation. We talked about what happens when Dylan Cruz comes back. At the moment, Jacob Young is playing well enough to deserve to stay. Maybe Dalen Lyle gets sent back down. Robert Hassel has played well since he went back down to AAA. I think we're still kind of in wait and see mode with all these guys. It doesn't mean that Lyle won't become a good, productive major leaguer, but we know that he's pretty young and did kind of burst through the system, maybe faster than anybody might have expected. He may not quite be ready for this assignment yet.
Well, the Nats do get the win. It was about as wild of a win as the Nats have had so far this season. The Nats get a day off on Monday, so their second day off in a period of 5 days of having played 16 games in 16 days. And next up for the Nats is a 3-game series against the major league leading Detroit Tigers at Nationals Park. Tuesday through Thursday, with each game being a 6:45 first pitch. And the Nats in this series will not be facing maybe/probably the best starting pitcher on the planet in the Tigers, Tarek Skubal, as he is pitching in the Sunday Nighter as we are recording this installment of the podcast. So the Nats catch a break. Now, Mackenzie Gore is pitching in this series. I suppose you could say it would have been awesome to see Mackenzie Gore versus Skubal, but I tell you what, the Nats need all of the wins they can get right now, and Skubal has been otherworldly, so I think it's a good thing there is no Skubal in this series. But yeah, this will be a very interesting matchup. The Tigers are having a really good season. I don't know that most people can name more than one player on the Tigers beyond Skubal. Like, it's a lot of nameless, faceless guys, but this is a really good Detroit team. We have discussed that the Nats have played their best against the best. So perhaps we do see the best of the Nats in the coming days here.
We will see, but you're right. Detroit is extremely good. A.J. Hinch, who I know lost his job in Houston under less than ideal circumstances, but I'll tell you what, he knows how to manage. He knows how to get the most out of his 26 players. And I think that's what he's done probably better than anything on a team that has a lot of anonymous players, and he uses his pitching staff in kind of an unconventional way outside of Skubal. He's done a really, really nice job with them to get them to this point. I'm interested to see them in person. It's funny, at the end of last year, I kind of thought to myself, the Tigers felt like a little bit of a fluke, and maybe the Royals were more legit. They were the two surprise teams that made the playoffs. Well, guess what? The Tigers have the best record in baseball, and the Royals are not good at all. So I was completely wrong on that one. I'm interested to see them in person. And I'll tell you what, I didn't need to see Mackenzie Gore versus Tarek Skubal right now. I know the Nats didn't need to see that because I think we know what the end result would be. 1-0 or 2-1, nothing more than that. I think the Nats will happily take their chances on facing somebody lesser than Skubal and hope to give Mackenzie Gore some run support and actually win that game for him for once.
You tell us what you think. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. You can find us on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email us, natschatpodcast@gmail.com, including if you would like for us to deliver a shout out, a happy birthday, a get well soon, a congratulations, whatever you want delivered. Email Tim Shobers. Again, that email address is natschatpodcast@gmail.com. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast.
Neto digs in from the right side. He has 12 home runs. The pitch. Swinging a ground ball. Diving stop at third by House. Pops up, throws across. Lowe has it for the out. Brady House robs Neto of extra bases. Diving to his backhand along the line. Brady House with a terrific play for out number 1.